I think we are almost about to start. I'm just giving it a second here to start up before I give the grand hurrah. So I'm sitting here in Amy and my apartment tonight, and it says I'm live. And so, hi, good evening. Good to be with you. While it looks like it's still pushing to YouTube right now, Facebook is live, and I'm going to quick open up a Facebook page, a Facebook post, to make sure that that is indeed true, that we are now live. Well, looks like it. Okay. I am seeing it. It looks like we have 4 or 5 people on. Go ahead and say hi in the chat so I can see you and get to know who's all with us tonight. Let's see here. So many things to open up. There's the chat screen. All right. Let's see here. Go ahead and tell me if you're there. And, oh, there it is, Judy. Hi, Judy. Good to see you. And thanks for letting me know that someone, because I'm just sitting in this apartment all by my lonesome. Amy's got a council meeting at one of her congregations tonight. And so it's nice to know that somebody's there. All right, good. Well, tonight we are going to it's going to be a kind of a broad evening, and I didn't really know what to title this evening, and so we're just going to call it Ben and the Two Kingdoms. And we're going to start off in just a moment by having a little bit of a pre-recorded conversation that I had with our new Saturday evening accompanist, Ben Jacobsma. And then I think we're going to end up talking a little bit about Luther's theology or thinking of the two kingdoms. And so that was how the title came to be for tonight, for Together in Faith. But it's good to be with you, and I see that we have a couple more people. Karen, hi, good evening to you, good evening to all. Good to see you here online. Okay, so like I said, in just a moment here, I'm going to go ahead and bring out a little recording of a conversation that I had with Ben Jacobsma, our new Saturday evening accompanist, so you can get to know him a little bit more. And then the rest of the evening is kind of this grab bag because of just some really interesting conversations that I've had over the last couple weeks. And it's been a little while since I've been with you here on Together in Faith. And so wanted to share some of those thoughts and conversations from these last couple weeks, including one that really happened today. So let's see here. Looks like We've got 5 viewers on the Facebook Live, and we're also streaming right now on YouTube, and so you can find us there as well. And of course, these get backed up, and you can look at them later. Let's go ahead and start with this opening conversation. It's just an 8-minute conversation with Ben Jacobsma, who again is our Saturday evening accompanist, and just a really lovely guy, and I'm really glad that I get to introduce him to you all, and hopefully you'll come out and just experience his playing firsthand, because he's just a lovely gifted musician and a lovely person. All right, well, here it is, a little introduction to our newest musician in our East Side community.
All right, so hi everybody. We're recording this on Saturday evening. We just got done with the very first Saturday evening service, and I wanted to introduce you to our new accompanist, Ben Jacobsma, and he's accompanying us on hymns on the Saturday service. And so I said, hey, can you stay a little bit longer, and can we have a little conversation? So this is Ben.
Nice to meet you, everyone. Come to the Saturday night service.
Yeah, come to
Look
Saturday,
forward to
exactly.
meeting you.
Yeah. So here's what I know about Ben. I know about Ben because Ben is the organist at Brandon Lutheran Church, where my wife Amy is pastor. And so we were talking about Saturday services, and I was like to Amy, I was like, well, do you think Ben would be interested? Does he have Saturday stuff? And so that's the conversation finally came to fruition around Ben being our kind of the lead kind of accompanist for Saturday services. There are some Saturdays where you can't be here, which is great. We have other really wonderful, talented folks that'll be part of those when you're not available. Most Saturdays, you'll be here. But people don't know you, so I want to know some stuff like, okay, you just graduated from Augie,
Yep.
right? Okay, and the degree. What was the title of the degree?
It's music, well, bachelor's of music, but then in organ.
Bachelor's of Music in organ.
Yep.
How many organ majors or how many organ people graduated with you?
Well, 0.
Zero?
And then there's a few more organ students.
Okay, so you're one of just a few.
Yep.
So this is really I lift that up just because it's special that we would have your skills here in town, that you were educated in town. There aren't that many students going through the organ major, music major with an emphasis in organ. Was that how you call it? Yeah. Okay, so how did you get interested in the pipe organ as your instrument?
I started playing for church when I was in 6th grade.
6th grade, okay.
Yep. And my great aunt had given me a little home organ that she had when I was like in 2nd or 3rd grade after I was taking piano lessons. And one time my piano teacher took me into the sanctuary and she opened up the organ and she said, have at it. I'll be back in a half hour.
Really?
And so I fooled around with it and just had fun, and she came back, then she taught me a little bit more of, what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
And then, I played all through middle school, high school, with multiple churches in our county back home, and
all right. Wow. Okay. So if you started, that was 6th grade when that happened. But you were playing keyboard prior to that, piano, or so when did you start taking piano lessons?
in 2nd grade.
2nd grade. Okay. And was this like a tradition in your family, or did someone just say, I think this kid is really going to be into piano? Like how did that happen?
Both of my parents are music teachers.
Oh, wow. Wait, both your parents are music teachers. Okay.
Yep.
Wow. Same school district?
Yep.
Same ages?
Yep.
Really?
Yep. They both work at Sibley Cheaton in Iowa.
Okay.
My dad's the head middle school director and my mom's the assistant.
Really?
Yep.
Okay, maybe I just don't know. I don't think of Sibley, Iowa maybe having the population that would warrant 2 middle school music teachers.
Yep. We have a long tradition of band.
That's great.
Yeah, it's awesome.
All right. Okay. So now I'm really interested. So, other instruments?
I play French horn. I played French horn at college and stuff while I was there.
Okay.
Took horn lessons. I also play trumpet.
Okay. French horn, trumpet, organ emphasis degree, piano starting in 2nd grade. We're obviously not scripting this. Now I'm just really interested. What do you think is the worst instrument ever made? Like if we could throw them all into the sea.
Oh boy, I don't know. I like most of them.
Yeah, I know, right? Right. Okay, that's fair. How about an instrument that you have? You're always like, oh, I wish I knew how to play that thing.
Probably violin.
Violin. Yeah, violin's Yep. Okay. Cool. Do you think you'll ever pick it up?
Hopefully.
Okay.
It'd be nice at some point.
Yeah. Good. All right. Okay, you just graduated. You are playing around for some other churches. I know we talked about some of those dates that you're not able to be on Saturdays because you've got other things happening in other churches. When you think about the thing that gives you, I don't know, the most joy about what you're doing, like musically, Like, or it doesn't even have to be musically. It could be like, I don't get the most joy in music. I get the most joy in, changing out the spark plugs in my '57 Chevy. I don't know. What is it that gives you joy?
I get a lot of joy out of leading the congregation in song.
Yeah.
And it's so nice to hear them singing again.
Yeah.
From a year and a half of not. So
yeah. Yeah.
Wonderful. And then other times I also work on a farm part-time.
Oh, you do?
And so I like being outdoors and doing all that kind of stuff too. So.
All right. We have a few farmers in our congregation. So now you've said it. He works on. He knows how to work on a farm too. So yeah, you might be getting a call. And just
That's fine.
Yeah. All right. Good. All right. Well, I don't know. Man, we've only been going 6 minutes. I'll cut this out. What are some questions I could ask, or even because people don't know me all that well either? You could feel free to go ahead and ask me, questions, or tell me stories about Amy. That's fine.
No, Pastor Amy's awesome.
Oh.
Yeah, we get enjoy her a lot at Braden. So.
Yeah, well, and she obviously you come highly recommended. That Amy enjoys working with you so much that she's like, that would be really great if you could get Ben on Saturday night. So yeah. Okay. Well, at some point, I do want to. I mentioned this when we were talking on the phone. Kind of get a recording of you playing maybe one of those songs that you just love to play on the piano. That would be. And record it and kind of make that happen. So look for that to happen sometime this year. And we're going to look forward to doing some of that with some other musicians here in this congregation too. So
cool.
Yeah. Hey,
awesome.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Come and see and hear Ben playing this lovely piano on Saturday nights, 5:30 service. And look forward to seeing you then. Hey, thanks, Ben. Thanks for your time.
All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed that conversation with our newest community musician, Ben Jacobsma. I see that a few more people have logged on, and so hi to Bob and Nyla and Alice. Good to be with you tonight. And as I promised in the beginning, when I didn't know what to title this, and I titled it Ben and the Two Kingdoms, you've got the Ben part. So that was it. Just meeting our newest member of the musician family here at Eastside Lutheran Church, and you can meet Ben and greet him face to face on Saturday evenings at 5:30. That's the new Saturday evening service. And the second part of this conversation, boy, I feel like it could go so many different ways. I'm going to see while I'm chatting here and taking a sip of coffee, if I can pull up a photo possibly from my photo library this would be from the trip, Amy and I did a little vacationing on the north coast of Minnesota. We were up on the Lake Superior North Shore, and I took lots of photos because I do take lots of photos. And let me just see if I can pull something up so you can kind of get a sense of where we were. There's just so many good photos here. Let's see. Maybe, I don't know, this one. This one here is from one of our hikes. I believe this was one of I don't remember now which one this was. If you've ever been up on the coast there of Lake Superior, it's just lovely. And the coastline kind of goes down. It's about 1,000 feet from Minnesota down to to the lakeshore. And so it's all waterfalls, all these rivers that are going into Lake Superior. There are waterfalls. And our first night up there, we stopped in Two Harbors to see an old friend. And, well, I guess not that old a friend. We've known Anna Madsen now for, probably 6 or so years. And the Reverend Dr. Anna Madsen is spent her earlier years of ministry as a Lutheran pastor here in South Dakota, and then went and lived in Germany and worked on a doctorate. The thesis, for doctoral thesis, was in the topic of suffering, and then was also a professor at Augustine University here in Sioux Falls for a little while, and now currently she lives up in Two Harbors, runs a retreat center, and is an author. Her first book came out in 2019. Her second book is coming out soon. And so the reason I tell you all of that is because Amy and I, early in our marriage, we would read out loud to each other as we were traveling around the country. We were catching up on books that one of us had read but the other had not. And then we just continued that for really most of our marriage. That's how we read. We would read out loud while we were driving, because we've spent over 1 million miles together in vans, let alone all of the miles in airplanes. And so we would read just things that interested us out loud. One of us would drive, the other would read. And that tradition kind of ended when we went to seminary, partially because we decided to take different classes on purpose. And we weren't, or if we took the same class, we tried not to take them at the same time. And so, when we were visiting with Anna, up on Two Harbors, we got a copy of her book, I Can Do No Other. And, we read it out loud, and finished it, the day that we got home, this last week. And it reignited that tradition for Amy and I of reading out loud to each other. And it's a great book. It's really, really lovely. I think it might be a book that we do together, that we read together as a community. And one of the reasons I'm more thinking about it is because in both in Anna's book and in conversation these last couple of weeks, been thinking a lot about a theology that Martin Luther started, that he kind of laid out in the 1500s, and it's the theology of two kingdoms. And it actually came up today in conversation. I understand that this was a conversation that happened at the St. Arbuck's group this morning. I wasn't down there because I was in a synod meeting at 10 o'clock, but I understand that Pastor Don shared some of a writing from a friend of his, a colleague of his from down in San Antonio, Texas, which, if you haven't been, it's a lovely city. You should go visit. But this writing from his friend, which is Paul, I believe it's Zeiss, is writing about the two kingdoms. And I understand that Pastor Don shared a bit about the two kingdoms and his friend Paul's writing. And yeah, I just think it's really good to kind of get this theology, this Lutheran, quintessential Lutheran theology kind of talked about, because it applies so much to what we're seeing happen in our world today. And the Reverend Dr. Anna Madsen, who spent a good time living here in South Dakota and gets South Dakota, is writing about two kingdoms in this book, I Can Do No Other. So, I don't know how I heard that it was a lively conversation at St. Arbuck's. I wasn't there for it. I just know that it also likely had some conversation about the two kingdoms. And so I wanted to just share a little bit of some of what Dr. Madsen is sharing about the two kingdoms in this book, maybe as a way to entice us to think about reading this together and to having some community discussion around this topic. Like I said, I think it really is a meaningful conversation that kind of directly is part of all that we're wrestling with and is just in our world today. So let me see if I can get a good, here's a quote, okay? Luther came to believe that God operates within two spheres, which he termed the kingdom of the right and the kingdom of the left. In the kingdom of the right, God stirs up faith, right belief, and ways of being in the world that reflect one's Christian identity. Luther spoke of this status as humanity standing before God. The kingdom of the left, in contrast, is where Luther believed that human institutions, such as government, marriage, and even the church, land. Echoing Augustine, Luther said that because humanity is fundamentally inclined towards sin and self-preservation, laws and regular order need to be established. Without those, humanity would run free and therefore run wild. Luther referred to humanity's presence before others, that is, in relationship with a neighbor, as coram hominibus. There it is. Okay. Luther's conviction that we are never only an individual, we are always in relationship to God and in relationship to others. So that's kind of the Luther sees these two kingdoms. And let me see if I can get kind of to a conclusion spot in this idea, just to try and entice you to join in maybe a community reading of this book that I hope will start in the next couple of weeks. How about this? The nexus of a new reformation of our moment. Per Luther, the gospel includes the declaration of justification, but it extends its essence to the summons to justice. For where there is injustice, then health, healing, and wholeness, life, are all threatened. We are followers of Jesus and therefore ambassadors of his gospel, which proclaims that death is real, but life is realer. In the name of the risen Christ and in accord with his agenda, we are here to announce, protect, and enact it. It being life. Life is realer than death. And then one more piece. This comes from the next chapter in this book. Again, here's the thing, Amy and I, as we're driving, we're you can maybe see all the green underline here. So, and we're trying to underline while the other one is driving. And so some of the underlining is really sketchy. All right. Let me just see if I can read a little bit more. This comes from just the next chapter. The cultural, social, economic, political, and ecclesiastical, that's church, differences between Luther's world and ours aren't just intriguing to note. They have profound, wildly under-recognized theological implications. No one is opposed to forgiveness, of course. The gospel, though, must have something to say, not just to the sinners, but also to those sinned against. It must have something to say, not just to sinful individuals, but also to sinful systems. Without this corrective, Luther's theological breakthrough becomes a theological barrier erected between the sinners and those sinned upon, and between the empowered and the powerless. Like I said, it was just a really, really excellent read. And I don't know, what do you think? Should we read about Luther's theology of two kingdoms and how that impacts our world today and what Lutherans might have to say? I think we should. And I think that Pastor Don was getting at that a little bit with what he was talking about today at St. Arbuck's. So maybe you were at the St. Arbuck's conversation and you heard a little bit about it and you have some thoughts. And I'd be love to hear those too, because I wasn't able to be at St. Arbuck's today. I'm still trying to think about what that first book might be. And I have a few more here that I've been reading. There's this one called An Other Kingdom. Let me get my hand out of the way here. An Other Kingdom, which was co-written with the Old Testament theologian and scholar Walter Brueggemann, which might be a really interesting read. This was just gifted to me, and I've heard really good things about this, Staying Awake, the Gospel for Change Makers. And this is just a really good book, but an intense book. I actually have a signed copy, The Cross and the Lynching Tree by James Cone. Really a lovely, good read. So if you have a book that you want to consider, feel free to put it in the chat. I think, boy, that Anna Madsen book, because she's got some South Dakota roots here, that might be our first one that we're going to read together. And I'll get some more information about that to you soon. There was another piece that I wanted to share with you too that I think we're going to run out of time for. But in my sermon on Sunday, I was referencing a new translation of the New Testament. It's the First Nations version. And I was doing some reading in that First Nations version of the New Testament again today, and just found it to be really interesting. So this next week, again, in our readings, we have readings from both the Epistle of James and the Gospel of Mark, continuing this tradition right now of reading in James and Mark. And I was reading those in the First Nations version, the New Testament translation made by a group of people from native tribes here in North America, and just found it to be, again, have some really powerful insights. So I mention it here to those of you who are interested. Pick up a First Nations version of the New Testament for yourselves. It's on Amazon, and you can get it for your Kindle. You can get it for your computer on, I got it via Apple's iBooks. So that's how I read a lot of my books these days, is not with a physical copy, but a digital copy on iBooks. And so it's available in all those formats, and I'm sure some other ones too. But if you just went on Amazon and searched for First Nations version, you would find this version of the New Testament translated by our First Nation siblings here in North America, and it's really lovely. Yeah, I think that's all I want to chat about right now. Let's see who we have. Oh, Judy, yeah, isn't it? I'm just looking at the chat here. Hi, Reen, and yeah, it is really good to meet new people, right? I'm glad that you were able to watch here. Hi, Marlis. Looks like I've got everybody there in the chat, so really good to be with you all tonight and together in faith. And let's go ahead and end with Luther's evening prayer. I give thanks to you, my Heavenly Father, through Jesus Christ, your dear Son, that you have graciously protected me today, and I ask you to forgive me all my sins where I have done wrong, and graciously to protect me tonight. For into your hands I commend myself, my body, my soul, and all that is mine. Let your holy angel be with me, so that the wicked foe may have no power over me. Amen. Well, really good to be with you tonight, and may you rest well, and hope to see you this next weekend, either Saturday service at 5:30 or Sunday services at 8 and 10 at Eastside. Until then, God bless. Rest well.